Okay, forgive me. I'm just going to stress this one point before I speak, or before I get to what I want to say, unless I'm not an atheist or a theist. With that said, unconscious content and how we relate to it and stuff. Somebody asked me, why do I do some of the things I do, or speak about some of the things I speak about? Why do I stand up for, comparative religion or theology? Not stand up for in some, trying to convince people of stuff, but I view it as this: is if I think that LGBTQ plus have rights, then religious people have rights. So I kind of view that as like this kind of solidarity type thing. If you're representing the rights for one to have free speech and be who they are, and all those things, then it kind of makes sense that you have to represent the other one. Doesn't mean you have to agree with things, but to understand the rights that people have to do those things, to interact with those things, and make their voice heard about those things. I stand up for that. I don't condone hate speech or people taking their viewpoint and bombarding somebody else with it and being hateful with it. But I definitely stand up for people's rights, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, LGBTQ rights, things of that nature. The point is this: is that so unconscious content, your mind, or subconscious content, whichever way you want to go. I'll just say unconscious. Let's say you enter into a trance work, let's say, or some sort of working, if you want to call it that. So when I say trance work, you'd be standing there and exercising and not counting reps, but putting yourself in sort of a zone. This sort of zone, and that zone is you might see an image come into your mind's eye, and in your mind's eye, then that image might. You don't know what it means, but that image might, when you look it up later, might have some sort of significance to something that you have to learn about your life in that moment. And then you can learn from it, and then you can kind of integrate what you learn and realize it actually fits into a number of different things if you're open-minded, and it can help you grow as a person. So that's how unconscious content works. Is that it's very simplistic like that. I don't need to have to delve into depth with this, but somebody's asking me if some of these stuff with magical stuff, and when I say like white magic, or some of the stuff I talk about with Christ consciousness, or Bodhi or Buddhic mind. Some of these concepts, what they represent is, this hidden thing within us, and this hidden thing is, it's this part we already have. It's oftentimes expressed or learned from via metaphor, but that metaphor, the truth loses meaning sometimes when we take it literal. If I saw some guy in my mind's eye and he was strong, I might, sit there and think, how can I integrate that strength thing to make myself, what do I need to be stronger with? Maybe the guy that's in my mind's eye that has, a lot of musculature is holding a book. So then I think, I need to be learning more, or I should be learning more. Or the person's holding something that represents a concept, a pencil. Let's say I'm a poet because I write a lot of poetry. Maybe I need to be working on my poetry more. Or someone's holding something related to exercise. Maybe I need to be doing physical fitness. I've kind of shoved these things down in my unconscious. So I've kind of forgot about them, locked them away in this kind of unconscious thing. And, I need to learn how to bring that out. And sometimes when we're in those situations where we're kind of in this trance-like state, where we're, not really thinking, just doing stuff, like flow state you see in psychology, that is where that so-called image can come out of. You're not thinking about the stuff you're conscious and aware of in your surroundings, so therefore your mind's not cluttered. And your mind is, that flow state, it's almost like things can then arise from your unconscious, and then you can see them, and then it kind of gives this cue. It's like a post-it note in your mind. And that cue you can go learn from, and then, integrate that into your being, and then, apply it and make something of it. So it's kind of like, oftentimes we don't, you can go in a store and see a fruit, an orange. And you go in there, you think you want a fruit, you think you want an orange, that's kind of what you're thinking of. Then you see a watermelon, and then it's like you buy the watermelon instead. And it's like your unconscious mind had something, you wanted fruit, but you got the watermelon instead. But your unconscious mind, like let's say there's something in the watermelon that you needed. That's how unconscious content is. It shows up, and it carries with it sort of meaning, like vitamins like the fruit, let's say, some sort of health thing that you need, mental health or physical health, let's just say, either or. Then you can kind of take that sustenance in and apply it, and that's you probably need that. You might look back and say, oh wow, like I ate this watermelon, I felt better, and I realized it had some vitamins in it that really something that I was actually felt like I was lacking, and so now I'm glad I got the watermelon instead. And that's kind of how like our unconscious speaks to us. It kind of leads us in a sense. So I think that's a fascinating way to look at stuff. It doesn't. Somebody might sit there and say, "Why do you talk about some of the things you talk about in 2024? Christ consciousness and Buddha and all these different things." And I'm not atheist or theist, but those stories have a ton of unconscious content. Same as Disney movies, same as all pop culture. Doesn't matter how modern or old. All of it's full of archetypal unconscious content. In just these things that these kind of like symbols, words that activate stuff in us, and that's the things we oftentimes line up with. This is the thing that we need, the experiences that we need. So in that sense, that's why I don't think religion's theology. I think it's kind of like the future of, let's say, religion. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, no matter how much artificial intelligence we create or. These things are so, because we're already putting our archetypal content into AI. We're already doing that. We're God and the AI is Adam. The AI is Eve. We're creating our Adam and Eve. We're already doing archetypal stuff with creation of AI. So I'm not trying to get off into AI. It's not really my thing. I'm not like a huge tech guy. To me, it's just something that I know serves humankind. But with that said, it's one of those things. I think that's fascinating. We already put that archetypal stuff into technology. We already have that. We give names. We assign roles. There's like a scribe in a sense, almost like this sort of this page to the knight. You ever think like the page, the one that like the squire, the page. What do you want to call it? The person that's kind of bringing the swords to the battle of life. This sort of person, like this thing like that, this concept like that. So anyway, that's how I view it. It's this thing is these concepts, these ideas are very rich with archetypal content. You put yourself in certain situations. That the whole trance thing is it's like some people like spin in circles 50 times and stand there and you're dizzy, but maybe that's not a good one. You're disoriented, but you're kind of like allowing them from the disorientation something to come forth in your mind. Or you could work out a lot to kind of keep your mind clear from the clutter of life, and then that kind of like endorphin rush you get from working out, or walking a lot, or running, or anything, surfing, whatever you're doing. You kind of get like this clear mind, and then from that, certain archetypes, images can come forth, and those images are sort of true, if you want to call it that, like necessary for your psyche to develop. It's not out there. It's like why so many people nowadays with Generation Z, why there's so much depression and things like that. Is those kids are always forcing those people. It's mostly young people. Those people are constantly bombarding their mind with conscious things they're conscious of. They're observing. They're not taking the time to understand the hidden part of them, who they really are. That that part that can actually that can become a genius, or can become an athlete, or can be like a pro athlete, or can become like a the next great scientific breakthrough, the person that pens the next great scientific breakthrough, or whatever. Like they're too busy indulging in all this conscious content that other people are creating, that they never get the time to understand that unconscious content that's within them. And that's like where the true creative gusto or luster or life is. It's that stuff that we're not really aware of, and then we kind of understand that. There's some really fascinating stuff that comes out that's really unique. So that's one issue we have nowadays with Generation Z, is they're very, the way they look at stuff. I was watching this video the other day about it. These why are people so depressed and so down, and people joking around about mental health and all these things. And it's because they're bombarded with so much screen time. So much time on a computer. I'm on a computer probably about 1 hour to 2 hours every day. Usually I try to limit it to about an hour and a half. I think the average time is 6 to 8 hours. So that's a lot of your day. If you think 6 to 8 hours on a phone, that's a lot of your time with a lot of other content. Most days I'm at work, and then I'm at the beach surfing, or bodyboarding, boogie boarding, and then I'm doing calisthenics, working out after that, or eating. But then, and then reading, like I'm reading like Ian McCandless, The Master's Emissary right now. So it's like, you want to definitely take that. I'm not saying I'm better than other people. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm saying is like when you're constantly seeing other people's opinions about what's correct, you get kind of lost in the scene about what's correct for yourself, because you're not indulging in that like rich subconscious, unconscious content that's coming from actual experience. You're sitting at the beach and watching the sunset, seeing dolphins in the surf. Those things can make you think, wow, the dolphins look amazing surfing. That reminds you of humanity, and it kind of gives you this connection to nature. Like, wow, like you don't feel separate from the dolphins. You feel that it's just another biological entity like you having a amazing experience in the surf. And that really hits home, and that really makes you feel connected into nature and all life in general. At least for me, but I would think for just about anybody. So just an idea, it's just a thought. That's kind of how why it's important to have those sort of situations where we put ourselves in. It's kind of these removal situations. It's not saying like transfer, like some weird thing where some guy's doing some something to harm someone. It would just mean like a place where you can kind of remove yourself, put yourself in this kind of like blank slate void for a period of time, and then kind of like see what comes out of the darkness, and then kind of integrate that, understanding that shadow is a part of you and not to be scared of. And then kind of learning from that, integrate that, and then go out into the world and actually have a true experience. So anyway, just a thought, just an idea.